Before I sculpt for the day, I try to make some decisions as to what I'm going to do for the day, what mistakes I made the previous day, and how I can go about fixing those mistakes or defects, flaws, and basically come up with a strategy for an approach. First thing I need to do is get a single light. These fluorescent lights tend to wash out all the shadows, and I need to use the shadows. Turn out the lights, and let's see, let's zoom in on this little guy. Now you see the eyes just look like cutouts. I need to soften the edges, correct the eyes, but that's not really real important at this stage. I think I'm trying to get as large a face and as much helmet in and make it interesting. The one crucial point is this eyebrow set with the line of the helmet. That cannot change. This can get smaller and be pushed up into the helmet, but this helmet pretty much has to stay the same. This area here can shrink, but it can't grow. The trouble is if I don't really watch this line, that line can separate and become too big to where the helmet's not resting on his head. So I have to make sure that this doesn't change, deviate. I leave this area around the chin so that as this shrinks, it doesn't change the distance between the chin and this manubrium part right here. That's manubrium. This thing, notch in the collarbone. Gladiolus, manubrium. Anyway, this is a basic rectangle going this way. This is a basic rectangle going this way, and that's kind of a basic rectangle going this way. I looked up online. This is a Corinthian helmet. This is the style helmet most sculptors use. I'll try to make this more interesting. Now at this point, I leave plenty of material on for the ears, trying not to cut out too much. I might have to shrink this face just a little bit. No, we'll see. We'll see how it develops. Try and get as, I think we'll develop this a little bit, and see where we go from there. Okay. I'm back. Really got to sit with this before I start just chiseling away, or else I'm just going to be wasting my time. I really have to sit with it for a while, maybe even a good hour, before I really decide what I'm going to do. You see there's a couple design changes. I'm using the limitations of the block to try and create an interesting shape. The thing maybe perhaps blowing in the wind and wrapping around his helmet, that little horsehair thingy. This line is crucial so that it sits at the right point, so this line cannot deviate. But I can shrink this a little bit, make this a little more interesting. The trouble is that line is too parallel. Or I could shrink the whole thing and make it work. I'd rather try and keep it large and interesting. Let's see if I can solve any of those problems today. I'll sit with it and make some decisions before I cut. Structurally, this is a little too ovoid still. It needs to become a little rounder. It has to do with the hidden sides of the helmet too. I think what I'm going to do is have this horsehair thing wrap up around like the wind is blowing it up over your shoulder. That'll be a little more interesting. I put the head in the block with a twist in it so that this shoulder could actually come in front here, make it a little more interesting. We'll see how that emerges. The fun of direct carving is that you can make these decisions as they are unveiled as the carving sort of opens up to you. Just evaluate things. Where in the mud, you can get a sense of figure, but in the stone, you really can get a sense of the movement of the light in a lot better way, not so muddy as in the clay. Crisper. Let's have some fun with it. The main thing is that the most important part, the most fundamental aspect to this is that we play with it. We don't work the stone, we play the stone. I think it has to be played with. Now when we cut into it, we do make a decision. I try to make the cuts as soft as possible until I really get a sense of what the shape is going to reveal. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, I was just looking at it, keeping looking at it, and I didn't like the way the eyes were. They were mere cutouts. And as you can see, the angle of the eye is all wrong. So that needs to be corrected first. So if you're having trouble with the way the eye looks from the front, then start carving it from the side. Change the angle of what you're carving it from. Use my hands as a gauge. This shadow seems to appear to be bending back too quickly. I can feel the front, feel the back, and then compare it to the front and realize that this is too steep. This needs to be rounder, like a bowl. See the other side, this is too massive. It's very close, but it goes out a little bit, so I can bring that back in too. So we're going to work on structure today, mostly structure. Just structure, then decoration. Get to where it balances. This looks a little too high, a little too frumpy. We've got to leave enough material to get the interesting shapes going too. Let's see what we can do with it.